This video is on how to connect the cables back for the main logic board. The first cable you want to remove is this cable. Yours may be a different color. This cable connects to the control board you see here and pulls right out, and of course I'm just going to push that back in. So assume that that cable, if you follow it, make sure it's routed completely and seated completely here in the clips, and this connects to the main logic board. Of course, you see I already have the main logic board plugged together, so what I'm going to do is unplug one thing at a time here and show you. So this cable here, let me get a better angle here. I just pull straight out here. There's another wire here that connects to the motor. Pull that one, unplug that one. Then you have the USB cable, of course. Below the USB cable there are two more plugs. These two plugs here, I'm coming from the bottom. Do not plug these in the correct slot. There's a white connector and there's a gray connector you see here. This gray connector is a power cable. If you plug this into the wrong slot, it will short the main logic board. So make sure that you plug this one in back into the actual male connector, which is also the color gray as well. Okay, so I'm going to unplug these main logic cables. You see three here. So I normally just pull on them and they come straight out. You see the first one here is split at the top, so that the ink chip cable here, which is plugged into the ink chip board, plugs into the bottom. So I'm going to disconnect that. There's another cable here that plugs into the print head, or so not the print head, but the power button. So I'm going to plug that. There's two more cables here, so I'm going to plug these two, 1 and 2. So I basically unplugged all the cables plugging into the main logic board. So to start plugging them back in, I start with these two here. So let's start with the bottom one. Make sure it's seated correctly before you insert them into the slot. So that's one. Bottom one, red, black wire to the top. Second one, it's just a gray wire on it, the color of the cable. Then I actually will plug this, which is the button. Make sure the blue is facing towards the left, the blue side of that cable, because you want the metal pins to be detected, of course. So I'm going to plug that in. Very important, these metal pins are the silver metal conductors. If they are bent, try to flatten them out. If you see any signs of damage or any burns, that's an indicator that it's shorted. Do not continue to install the part, or else you will short the new part or component. Next, I will then plug in the ink chip cable, because it's going to plug into the bottom. And it's easier to plug into the ink chip cable to the bottom when there's no other cables there. The trick to it, or not trick, but the key to doing this is making sure that you always start with it facing down or all the way to the bottom, and then you insert it in here. So I'm just going to get a better angle here, just like that. So you see here, once again, metal pins. Make sure this is all the way at the bottom, and then insert it. Now, the other cable, which is part of the main logic cable here, the top one, that's the top. So you want to go all the way to the top part of it and push it in. Okay. Follow that by the next cable. Make sure it's lined up first before you push in. Make sure that none of the metal pins have any bends in them as well. Same thing with the next one. Okay, next is this other wire. You see here that there are 1, 2, 3 ports here. You will not use the middle port, so it's going to be the one at the top here. This one here, right underneath it, is not used. Okay. Take the motor cable, plugs into the bottom. Before I plug the USB in, I actually will plug in the two other cables here. Remember, the gray connector plugs into the gray male connector. And the white, of course, plugs into the white male connector. Then you can go ahead and plug the USB cable in. You may want to make sure this is not tangled anymore. So that's good. So there you have it. I plug in all the cables now. I also plug in the, I did not unplug this, but if you do unplug it, you just simply got to plug it back into the correct slot. Plugs into the control board. That's how you plug all the cables back into the main logic board.